Any unfavourable treatment of a woman because she's pregnant or on maternity leave or has been on maternity leave is unlawful. So, for example, if she's dismissed soon after she's pregnant because of her pregnancy, that would be unlawful discrimination. If she's not allowed to return to the same job after her maternity leave because it's been taken by her maternity leave cover, then that would be discrimination. Because the reason she's not allowed to return is because she's been on maternity leave. No, employers will not say you've got to leave because you're pregnant, or you're going on maternity leave, or you have been on maternity leave, because they know that would be leaving them with a claim for discrimination. And so often what an employer will do will say there's a redundancy situation, and then choose for redundancy the woman who's pregnant or on maternity leave. I think the incidence of pregnancy discrimination has increased over time, and it now appears that employers think that it's more acceptable to say, why would I employ a woman of childbearing age or a woman who's pregnant or who has a child and may have another one, because of the inconvenience to my business. And of course there is absolute protection against any unfavourable treatment because of pregnancy. There can be no justification for such discrimination.
Employers already knew I was pregnant, but I handed in my maternity notice on the 19th of May. Within a week, I had a conversation with one of the trustees of the school, a very informal conversation as our children were in school together, in which she asked me to confirm that I was pregnant and when I would be taking my maternity leave. 2 days later, in a meeting I was having with the headmistress about routine academic issues to do with timetabling and school trips, I was handed a letter that actually told me that my employment was being terminated with the school. The only reason that they could possibly have chosen to terminate my contract was the pregnancy. It was the only difference in me between the time that I'd started with the school and the time that they handed me the letter. I'd been with the school for 3 years in various different roles, and I'd always had an excellent record, service record, always worked very well with the children, with the parents, always got fantastic grades. At 3 months pregnant, the last thing you expect in the world is to have somebody turn around to you and say that they've just taken away your main source of income. And not only is it your main source of income, it's your main source of stability. Obviously, you know, you're in a position where you're already having to plan for the time during your maternity where you are aware there is going to be a drop in your income due to the maternity pay. So you start to budget and you start to work out what you're going to do. And then if somebody turns around to you several months before you've reached that D-Day and says, well, actually, no, we're going to take away your income now, all of a sudden that budget's out the window. So financially, it leaves you in an awful mess. Very, very stressful time. During the following few months even of my pregnancy, actually my midwife became very, very worried about me because I wasn't putting on any weight. In fact, I was losing weight a lot of the time through my pregnancy, and this being my third pregnancy, that's not normally a natural thing. So yeah, she did show a lot of concern for me and sort of put me on quite strict routines as to when I was to eat and things like that. But yeah, it's a very harrowing time, and without the support of everybody around me, my family, my friends, to be honest, I don't think I'd have made it through. And it's not something I would ever want anyone else to have to go through. In fact, it's only due to the generosity of my parents, really, that financially we made it through. If it wasn't for them, we'd have lost our house, we would have lost our cars, we'd have lost everything, because we wouldn't have been able to keep up with the repayments. Because obviously when you've got a steady income from a permanent job, you don't mind having things like a mortgage. But all of a sudden, when that income's taken away from you, you've still got to find a way somehow of paying that mortgage, because there is no backup. Yes, I took my employers to the Employment Tribunal. It's a very long, very hard process. There's an awful lot of paperwork involved, and my union was absolutely brilliant, incredibly supportive. Now, employment tribunals take a long time before you get them as well, so it was into April this year, so we were nearly a year from the moment where it had happened before we even got to the courtroom. So in this whole time you're still living with the stress, you're still living with the unknown factor, and throughout all of this as well you've now got a young baby to care for. It's not fun at all, and it does take away that special moment you're supposed to have when you have got this new being coming into your life, and it does kind of put a nasty feel on everything for you.
To protect themselves from unfair treatment at work, women should first of all make sure that they know their rights, that they understand what they're entitled to and what their employer should do for them. Don't assume that your employer will know, because employers may not know and the law does change. So particularly for small employers, if they haven't had to deal with a pregnant employee for some time or ever, they may not know what they have to do. So look for information. Maternity Action has a website full of information sheets which tell you all your rights and entitlements to support. So read all that before you tell your employer that you're pregnant. Secondly, women should prepare for problems and don't assume that everything will go smoothly. Put things in writing whenever you can. Ask for written confirmation of agreements back from your employer. If your workplace has a trade union, consider joining, because they will give you additional support if you do have any problems. Also check your home insurance to see if you have legal expenses cover, again, if you do need to kind of take any action against your employer. Women should always seek advice as soon as they can if they do experience problems at work. There are time limits for taking action, so the sooner you seek advice, the better, by speaking to somebody like Maternity Action Advice Line. Women should join the Valuing Maternity campaign. We at Maternity Action can offer help to individual women about their personal circumstances and help them to resolve problems, but really it's time the government did something to stop the problems coming up in the first place. We know that this is a problem that's getting worse since the recession, so now is the time to act.